Star City Council Joint Regular Committee meeting, Thursday, April 4th, 2019, starting at 6 o'clock. Members present, myself, Kevin Myers, Dan Wireball, Bruce Truca, Mike Sack, Doug Boat, and Andrew Shaw. Okay, calling the meeting to order by myself at 6 p.m. Any public participation? Okay. We'll come to 5 minutes. Okay, no public participation. All right, order of committee business, Platting Committee, on the order at 6:01. Proposed zoning changes for South Walnut and South Poplar Streets. Here, anybody have public participation, would you like to?
I think first of all.
Landon? Yes.
Yeah, I'll just make a quick statement. Taking into account all the information, all the public feedback we've received, it's my opinion at this point that it's probably best to maintain the current zoning and forego the zoning expansion of the neighborhood business district. I support the effort to make Bucyrus look more business friendly, and I think we should strive to continue to find ways and areas where we can do that. But taking into account the public feedback that we received, as well as the loss of control that we would have for new developments in those areas, I think the costs of that outweigh the benefits of looking business friendly. There will still be a way, if someone does need to expand past the alley, they can file a zoning amendment application like in any other instance. In those cases, we would have a clear idea of exactly what is proposed for the development. We can take that into account and base that on, what we need to consider for the surrounding properties that are residential properties. That control paired with the protections in the code for residential properties that abut to neighborhood business developments, which include larger side yard setbacks, rear yard setbacks, landscaping and screening requirements. All of those things led me to think that from a planning and zoning perspective, it's best that we use that process that's already in place.
Okay. Anybody have questions for Landon?
There is a communication, can I read that?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a letter here dated today, addressed to the council president from Harold R. Howe. At the previous public hearing concerning the proposed rezoning, Councilman Dan Wireball expressed his desire to grow and develop Bucyrus. I'm sure most, if not all residents, as well as myself, would like to see the city of Bucyrus prosper. Under the current zoning laws, the area of Sandusky Avenue between Charles Street and Oakwood Avenue is available for development. The proposed rezoning will make the existing homes second-class citizens. As an example, the recent handout stated residences included in the rezone will be grandfathered in as legal non-conforming use. A town's prosperity is generally built around industry. If growth is what we are looking for, the focus should be on attracting and retaining industry. I doubt if a new eatery is going to make any significant difference. I personally feel the proposed rezoning will devalue my property. Through the years, I have invested in it to maintain it at a high level. These improvements would have no value as a parking lot, and certainly would be discounted with parking lots all around it. With that said, the thought that property on Walnut and Poplar are of less value is a self-fulfilling action. The real losers are the owners across the street of the new zoned area. When looking at real estate, the value is determined by location, location, and location. Businesses come and go. When a business leaves the property, often ends up being unkept and vacant for some time and detracts from the neighboring properties. A home, on the other hand, is likely to have a fairly consistent use as owners and renters come and go. A resident in the rezoned area would be left with this as his neighborhood. If the proposed rezoning is effective and residential properties are developed for business, it is certain to cause an increase in local traffic. I would not think this would be an asset to the residents left behind. I would like to see the existing vacant buildings and lots developed prior to any rezoning. Harold R. Howe, and that's the only communication we have.
Is there anybody that would like to address council from the audience?
Hill talking, 610 South Walnut Street. Hate to bother you again, but from our perspective, and you know I like to talk a lot and listen, I have not heard one person in favor of doing the rezoning, and there's been a lot of talk on that. We have, the conclusion is we have more vacant lots in Bucyrus and empty buildings that are already business. Let's do something with those. And downtown, I think the bank has done a wonderful job on doing theirs and keeping our downtown. And it can be done if you just look a little bit. And it may take business, if they want to do something, a little bit longer by filing and changing this and changing that. But at least you know what's trying to get into your neighborhood before they come. Okay? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, my name's Harold Howe. I own the property at 531 South Walnut. I too am concerned about the loss of control of how we can monitor and see that the development's consistent within the properties. The handout that was given to us last week, I've had a chance to review that. How recent are these?
Landon?
Those are the current zoning ordinances.
The last update? You know? If you don't know that, that's okay.
No, I don't.
I just wanted to make sure that the point that I bring up is relevant. In section 1171.02, section C, Article 1, it says that personal services involving the care of the person's, his/her personal effects consisting of consumer services generally involving the care and maintenance of tangible personal property except for motor vehicles. Examples, restaurants, but not including the drive-through facilities. Now, I would like to take this point here and say Harvey's is in a neighborhood business. They have a drive-through blaring directly to my property. Taco Bell has one across their alley. The new Tim Hortons that just went in, they also have a drive-through. Who are these rules for? If we give a blanket statement that we have the neighborhood business zone will be okay, and then we throw out the rules that are protecting us, they have no value. I like to say that the purpose for zoning is to protect its city, and your citizens make your city. I'm not a citizen, but I've invested here. I want to protect my investment. The reason I bought that property was possibly a place to live as I grow old and can no longer handle the large property that I have now. I see that as a future residence for me. I wouldn't like to see it become neighborhood business. That's all I got.
Just as a comment, these get updated, and the properties or the businesses that you mentioned could very well have predated this. They could very well have predated it. I can't say all of them. I realize that.
And that's why I asked Terrell for the date,
And so,
because
we don't have that with us right here, right now. We'd have to research that to find out.
I would
But,
say it's more likely that they probably received a variance to have the drive-through
Okay.
location.
and I understand that, and I don't know the details that went on. And I bought my property with Hardee's there. This is not, I'm not singling out Hardee's.
Yep.
I'm pointing out the fact that the rules set forth are not being addressed, not being handled. And the people who pay the price are the people that own the properties and live in those areas. That's the point that I wanted to make. And I realized that. I wanted to make sure it was relevant. There's not any one business that I want to point out, call out. I'm not attacking them. I just want to make sure the process is really understood and adhered to so that everyone has a fair shake.
Anybody else?
Hi, Devin Stapler, 556 South Poplar Street. I stand the same way I did the last time we were here. I just don't want to give up the control. And I want to keep where I'm at residential. I bought in residential. I bought in with the business behind me, kind of county corner, knowing that, and I tolerate that, and I took steps to make it better. But I really would like to see our neighborhood stay, because I think we have a lot of spaces in this town that are empty. And I'd like to see those worked on. There has to be other solutions. And then if something comes up, then I'd like to have, to be able to come up, and then if someone wants to bring a business in, discuss it then. Not to give up this control and anything in there, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Any council members have anything?
I'll go on the record that when you guys first brought this up, and I heard the idea, I thought it was a decent idea. Made sense. We wanted to be business friendly. But living a few blocks outside the area, I maybe didn't have the same concerns that a lot of you have expressed. After hearing you all 2 weeks ago and then again this evening, I absolutely agree with all of you 100%. While I applaud our efforts to try to bring business in, we need to keep that control. So that's where my stance stays on it.
Anybody else? All right. Well, with that,
If you look at the last page of your packet, regarding the public hearing timeline and everything, all the steps that we're required to go through when such a request is made, you can see we're down to item number 13.
Could we have?
Item number 13 says that, item 12, let's back up one. Platting Committee discusses at next committee meeting and prepares legislation request if approved. That's on April the 4th. And the 13 is then, if we get the legislation request, then it will carry forward from there. So your question is, are you going to request legislation or not?
as of right now.
You need to take a vote. Everybody in your committee has a right to vote on that.
Okay. All those in favor of going for the zoning, say aye. Those opposed, say same sign. Aye. Aye.
Then the motion,
Done.
okay.
With that, I will meeting at 6:14. Thank you, Landon.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and call the service committee to order at 6:14 PM. Road salt bid.
The last page of your packet. No, yeah.
Says for the winter of 2018/2019, the city of Bucyrus purchased 800 tons of road salt through Ohio Department of Transportation's annual road salt bid. The cost was about $85 a ton. Outside the ODOT plan, road salt from private companies was selling for about $100 a ton. So, I guess I need a motion to approve, apparently, probably the purchase of 800 tons.
I think the
Or
exact
just-
amount is to be determined.
Just
Are we just
participation.
authorizing them to go out and get a bid?
didn't anticipate.
I'll make that a motion. So I'll second it.
If you read section 4, it says 800, so they repeated the 800 for this year. Hopefully we won't need it all.
Wishful thinking?
I think so.
Okay. Andy moves, Doug seconds, all in
Hang
favor?
on a second, Bruce.
Huh? Go
I've
ahead.
got a question. Do we know how much we used and how much capacity for storage we have? I mean, I would hope that they verify that we have enough room for 800 more tons. but, okay.
No, I don't think that, it guarantees it at that price up to 800
Right,
tons.
you have to buy at a certain level, and then, of course, this will be stored out at the New Irving Street, and we've got that big, they go in there, and in the past, I know that if we have excess, it may be stored at the county. Likewise, the county, if they run out of space, we have space, we let them bring some in here, or into us to store. So it's sort of a mutual aid type thing with the road salt.
Yes.
Actually, I remember when we were discussing all this with the ODOT and everything, that Wagner said that by having that salt bin up there, we would have more room to store salt, which would give us the ability to buy more bulk when we want to go out and purchase it. So that's one of the reasons.
So do I need to change the?
No, just need a motion.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Who's the fourth member?
Dan.
Dan.
Oh, okay.
Did a weak eye?
Weak eye.
I think it was a late.
I weak.
Usually
Okay.
you enunciate the eye.
All right, motion passes. I'm going to adjourn at 6:18.
I'll call the Finance Committee to order at 6:18 PM. First is the bond anticipation note for Aumiller Park.
Actually, the reason that I wanted to do this was that the current note matures in June, and there's several steps we have to go through and get the legislation approved, and then get our information for what the interest rate will be for renewing the note. And we have to pay the current note off, and then we get whatever we determine to take the new note out for. Now, when we budgeted this, we said we wanted to pay it off in 3 years and pay principal of $100,000. So we would renew the note at $200,000. That's what we budgeted, that's what's in the budget now. I just want to make sure that we're still all on the same page and that that's what we're going to do.
I would like.
I don't know what the interest rate's going to be. It may be a little higher, it's 3 1/4 for this year. It might be slightly higher than that.
Is that paid once annually or quarterly?
Yes, that's paid at
So we've
at
already made
maturity.
the first, but we have not yet made.
We have
plan
not
on
made any
making that
payment at
first
all.
payment.
It's due June
By June,
18,
okay.
and we pay interest at that time.
Okay. So you're just needing approval from us to start the process
Yes,
to renew it. You need that form of a motion.
yes.
I move to allow Joyce to move forward with the process of paying the first payment and then renewing, if that's the proper term, renewing the bond anticipation note.
I'll second.
Kevin, second by Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, in your package, you did have additional information all about how all this came about, so all that's there in this package for you to look at.
Okay. Next is the appropriation.
I did make a change. When I referred this, I said $12,000, but I'm actually only asking for $4,000. And this is for pool chemicals. We had talked at budget time about what we were gonna need to put in the appropriations for pool chemicals. And we said, well, we need to check with Jeff Dunn and see, what he thinks we're gonna need. We had a chemical leak of some sort in the pump house last year, which meant that we used more than anticipated. Now all that's gonna be new equipment, and we shouldn't need to use nearly as much as what we did last year with everything being brand new. But the problem was, we never got that number before the budget went and got passed, so we had 0 in the chemical line. So I need to get an appropriation into that materials and supplies line for chemicals.
4,000 from the general
4,000.
fund is going into the line for chemicals.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
A motion for the appropriation, first by Kevin, second by Andy, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. I will recess the finance at 6:21 PM. Do we have any public participation? None? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Regular committee? Doug? Second, Mark? Adjourn at 6:22 PM.
Thank you.
3 committees in 21 minutes. What do you think of that?
Yes.
Tell us